All right. Well, today I wanted to do a little bit of a different video than just my flight sim uh, for the weekend. I've got a little construction project going on here at the simulator. Uh, the latest installment is this guy. It is a 27-inch ELO brand touchscreen monitor. And the idea is to replace this tablet that used to be in a similar position approximately here. And what I was talking about in my previous flight video to Newark uh, is using this tablet, was using that tablet as the overhead touch panel. Well, now I have a much larger area so I can actually read and see the buttons, and I'm trying to position it a little bit better to where it's, over my head. Now, it turns out that the mount that I bought here is a little bit too short in length for what I want it. I want it to, instead be over here, kind of be more over this, at least over the center, of my head, possibly even over here. I don't think that they make a mount that's that much. Additionally, the amount of torque that would be applied here is going to be a problem. I've already got some wood pieces and some metal plate that I'm going to fix to this wireframe to kind of spread some of the loading out along the structural bars of this. I know that these U-line shelves are pretty durable when it comes to the amount of weight that they can bear as far as downward force, and it's because of the grid pattern and stuff here, and these cross members and metal bars are all tack welded here. So I mean, I know that this thing can hold it, but the problem is once you start extending that out so far, you're going to get some good torquing moment that's going to tend to pull this, off that way. The benefit here is that it's going to sit. The worst case is it's going to push against the desk. This is about 27 inches from this point to this point, which, like I said, for most cases and most people, that would probably be fine. If I had a better desk, this is not the ideal desk to be doing this simulator on, which I intend to change in the future. But it works for now for what I'm doing. But I wouldn't need such a long arm like that. In fact, they do make like mounting stands for monitors that are like they have a base and then a support arm that goes up, across, down, and then it has a base. And what that allows you to do is put a monitor here, a monitor here, and a monitor here. And then it's got a cross member across the top, which you could mount, another monitor above you. So probably in the future, when I move this to a different room in my home, I will have a lot more flexibility with exactly how I'm going to mount it, and probably do a little bit better job and buy some actual, mounting hardware that they sell for this Core Flight Technologies EFIS and MCP panel. They actually have Boeing, shaped cutout HUD similar to the actual plane that you can buy. You can buy basically a half that just has the captain's EFIS and the MCP, or you can buy one that has a captain and a first officer EFIS and the MCP, if I remember correctly. If I do end up getting a little anal about how this is not exactly in the right position, because realistically, if I'm going to be in the captain's seat here and we look in the, image of the plane, technically I need to be reaching up with my right hand to press these buttons instead of my left hand. So what might end up happening is that this whole shelf and everything gets moved over here to this side. So that's very possible here in the short future. But anyway, let's take a look at some of the other things. So let me just show you what the benefit of this is. So as you can see, I've got my icon set up here. So if I just go ahead and double click that, and of course it's gonna be difficult and not come up on the proper screen, but that's okay. This is all part of the setup process when you first start the sim. But I can just drag that up there, and you got that. Well, I'm gonna hit F11 to make it full screen, and there you go. Full, at least a much larger size overhead. And I'll rotate the image just a little bit to give us a full view of how that works. But basically, all of those touch buttons and switches and whatnot, they all function at the touch of a button. All the knobs, they all function as well. So I mean, this thing is the AVS server is just absolutely wonderful. It's such a good product. I can't stress enough how good it is. And this is not the only overhead panel they have. They have a 777 and a 747, I believe, also, that you can buy licenses for, and it does a similar thing. This is the web page version, so that's even more of a benefit is that any tablet, any device that you have connected to your network that has an internet browsing program, you just navigate to the IP address of your primary simulation computer and the specific port for the overhead or the port for the FMC. Because yes, this old, I don't know how, 10-year-old iPad has now become a dedicated FMC. And this also, I have an FMC for the 737, the CRJ, the working title, CJ4 is on there. I think fly-by-wires, they have a remote, what do they call it on the A320? The MCDU, I think. So yes, great addition, very easy to do. It adds so much ease when you're doing airliner type work, instead of having to use the mouse and click all the junk up there. Just being able to type it in here and have it, show up on the sim, and also kind of have it in the right position, adds a little bit to the immersion level. So very pleased with that. Very, very, very pleased with this software. If you're thinking about buying it, buy it. It's totally worth it. I absolutely love it. I did find out, and I'll show you. See if I can show you here with my. I have to get the mouse. Let me sit down here. But if we come out at full screen. And I can show you, there's an overhead client software, and I really haven't figured out how to use this correctly yet, but this client software is something that comes with the AVS server, and it is the same thing, but a little bit more. So what this client version, and I'll just turn this way so you can see, it has a bar up here at the top, and I believe the shortcut is for you to press space. But when you press space, it shows the very, very, very back overhead where your flap indication and your IRS display is and all of that. So it shows it in more detail instead of being compact. And I can show you what I mean. Let me shrink it down here. So if you look on here, you see how they kind of eliminated they eliminated the IRS display here, but they did pull down the flaps indication and the gear indication in the flight recorder, and they got rid of the image of the light. So I mean, this web page version is like a compacted version of what the actual overhead looks like. So the client tries to do it a little bit more, I guess, real or full size. And what I can do is, I still have not figured out how to set it to where, for example, I have that in the bottom half and then a second instance of the client running to be a dedicated top half. And what I want to do is have no windows, not like that. I want this, correct? But now I want that smaller. So that's kind of the way that I want it, to where it's full screen like that. But the problem is the client leaves this horrible bar or like selection tools over here, and there's nothing in the settings that allows me to disable that. So it's kind of a pain. I wish I could get it to work, but I'm just gonna have to be satisfied with the web page. I would prefer if this worked correctly, and I can turn the border off. So the border is what's gonna show that Windows bar at the top of the screen. So when I click that, now you can see that the border is gone up here at the top. But there's no way to make this bar over here go away that I found, and it's very difficult to get it to, I guess, open and close the program, because now I have to make it show the border again, and then once it shows the border, then I have to close it. And trying to position it to where both of these windows are, on the same screen at the same time, and not having this bar interfere with it, it's just difficult. So I'm gonna have to just deal with it and deal with the web page version of it. I've not had much luck with the client here, but I'd still appreciate the fact that they have that as an option. I do like the web page though. One kind of unintended benefit of having this setup is now I have an extra tablet. So what my plan is to do with this tablet is it is going to be the pop-out window PFD and MFD for the 737. These gauges are great. I like them. However, if I were to do this all over again, I think I might not purchase those. As much as I like the FIP gauges and all of those things, I think I probably would have been better off with just, either a small monitor or, a wireless connection tablet to use in that situation. And I'm going to put an asterisk by that. That's for airliners. For the GA aircraft that I fly and the float planes and stuff like that, you absolutely, having a bunch of these is great. And so I'm going to take back what I said. I mean, I still like these. I like the way that my setup is. I just wish that there was an easy way for me to switch between general aviation aircraft mode and airliner mode, because they're very different. And one thing that I might be able to do in a future setup is basically take this tablet and basically have it to where I can just mount it over the top of this when I want to, and it would just cover all of these, or even two tablets. And that would be my PFD and MFD. And then when I want to go back to general aviation mode, I can just move them out of the way, and then I'm back in GA mode. While we're here, we can kind of talk about this. I talked about this from Home Cockpit on Etsy. There is an option to buy these 3D printed, fully functional thrust levers. So I've got my auto throttle disconnect button. I've got my toga button for each one, and the button over here as well. They both have reverser levers that come up. Now these are, 3D printed plastic. So, I mean, that is just something that you consider when you're purchasing it. For the price point that it's at, it's a good product. But, I mean, if you wanted a true to life, real, heavy feeling thing, then this is probably not what you want. But for my purposes of just adding some level of immersion for a good price, these are great. 3D printed shaped speed brake lever, again calibrated using Spadnex to do a custom axis to define, these different positions. And then the flap lever, like I said, there is a rubber band and there's a little piece that's glued onto the top of the actual stick. There was a little loop piece that was hot glued onto it. And once you did that, you set the lever over the top of it and feed this rubber band through the little hole that's in there. Then you stick on this there's a 3M tape that you stick that onto the side of your thrust quadrant, and then this actually lifts up and sets down, lifts up and sets down. So it kind of worked out of the box with this shape being scaled to 100% down to 0%. It automatically worked as far as scaling goes for setting it at the right setting. I didn't have to do much work in Spadnex to actually get this to where that is 15 degrees, that is 40 degrees, that is 2. That is one, and not degrees, flaps position. Also, again from Etsy Home Cockpit, these are working starter levers, so those work. And I kind of mounted them there in position. Now, yes, this is not exactly the ideal position. Really, I guess it should be more down here, and this really should be more, down in this area and more kind of at that angle. But I'm working with this kind of mounting system that has a single pole and a pedestal, and my rudder pedals are mounted on it as well. So all of this equipment, including the rudder pedals, the yoke, everything is all mounted on a singular, piece. So it's very easy for me to move this, relatively speaking. It takes a little bit of time to move it. It's a little complicated, but basically, if we look under here, I've got 2 powered USB strips, and it's very important that you get powered USB strips, because when you have this many peripherals plugged into a single port, the voltage drop is too high to run most things. So both of these USB strips are powered, and I've got the cables run down to here. And I know it looks like a horrible mess of wires there, but realistically, once you unplug the 2 power strips and the plug for the MCP, all that's left is 2 USB cables that come here and plug into the front of the sim. And yeah, one's top, one's bottom. It's important to plug them in correctly every time, but this goes to one of the strips that's under the yoke, and this goes to the other strip that's under the yoke. So all of my peripherals are all connected through those 2 USB ports there. So that was kind of a good feat that I was able to accomplish, getting my track IR plugged in through there, getting all of these FIP gauges, thrust quadrants, yoke, multi-panel radio, switch panel, all of that's all connected through the hubs under the bottom, and ultimately through 2 USBs that go off to the actual PC. These 2 screens that I have over here, this bottom one is what I use for BATC, and this top one is what I use for Navigraph's charts. So when I'm looking off to the side, I'm looking at this and watching it. This screen, this tablet, and this tablet are connected to the sim via, let's see if I can show you, there's an app called Space Desk. And basically what Space Desk does is you run a host tool on the main sim, and it acts as a server, and then on your tablets you have an app that you can click on, and it will link to your PC and act just like a extra display, so a separate monitor. And it's treated just like a monitor, so I could drag anything, any window, anything off the side of the screen to my tablet or to the other tablet. And so the way I have it set up now is BATC. When I connect, I have a little icon over here. I can tap on that. BATC shows up on this screen. This screen's an empty screen until I start the sim, and then I have a pop-up manager add-on that will put my MFD or PFD and MFD over here. And that's just something new that I just started. I'm kind of still playing with that. But hopefully y'all kind of enjoyed taking a tour of my sim, and as you can see, I'm real high tech here on the side. I opted for the TV trays. They they serve their purpose for what I want. But little mouse spot right there, my FMC, some headphone hooks to hold my wireless keyboard, another headphone hook to hold my actual headphones, and that's it. That's how the sim is coming along, and maybe I'll do a little update video later once I get the extra mount to see if it's gonna fit in the position that I want it to. So hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.